Senator Ricketts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank all of our nominees for your past public service and also for your willingness to continue to serve our great nation, and for your families who also have sacrificed and serve along with you, so thank you. The Popular Resistance Committees is the third largest terrorist organization in Gaza and also a puppet of Iran. After decades of attacks, including the October 7th attack, it has both American and Israeli blood on its hands. Despite this, the PRC has yet to be properly designated and sanctioned. Later today, Senator Schiff and I will be introducing the Accountability for Terrorist Perpetrators of October 7th Act, which, among other things, will cut off the People's Resistance Committees from the global financial markets. Governor Huckabee, do you agree that the U.S. should hold all terrorist groups who played a role in October 7th accountable for the atrocities?
Senator, a wonderful question, because I feel like that this is one that everyone, Democrat, Republican, and the fact that you have bipartisan support to introduce that bill is very significant. I cannot imagine under any circumstances that any right-minded person would find it acceptable to support or to even acknowledge that there was justification in any way for the massacre of innocent civilians on October the 7th. If I'm confirmed, I will be absolutely clear to carry the president's policies. They have been clear that Hamas will have no future in Gaza. It can't. This was not simply a cold-blooded murder in which people came across the borders and shot innocent people. They massacred them. And they did it in the way that was most physically painful and in the way that was most personally humiliating. And worse, they videotaped themselves doing it because they were proud of it. And they published it with pride. And they announced repeatedly that they would do it again. Hamas is not a government, it's not a standing army, it is a terrorist organization, and they acted like it. And they must be treated as such. And if confirmed, I would hope that this unfortunate, horrific war that has resulted in many, many deaths, including Americans, the taking of hostages for a longer period of time than even the hostages in 1979 were taken during the Iranian takeover, that all of that could come to an end and there could be accountability for what was done to Jewish people on October the 7th of 2023.
So I take by your answer, I can have your commitment to work with me on this piece of legislation that will properly hold the People's Resistance Committees accountable and properly sanctioned and designated. Is that fair?
Senator, unflinchingly, I commit to you to do that very thing.
Great, thank you. Let's move on to the head of the snake, Iran. Right now, the Ayatollah is reeling. Hamas and Hezbollah have been decimated. Iran's been kicked out of Syria, at least for the time being, after the fall of Assad. Tehran's air defensive have been wiped out by the IDF. And thanks to President Trump reimposing maximum pressure, including sanctioning Communist China's teapot refineries, its economy is in freefall. However, it remains to be seen if, out of desperation, Iran will come to the table or sprint to build a nuclear weapon. President Trump has reportedly given Tehran 2 months to deal or risk severe consequences. Needless to say, Iran, being closer than ever to having a nuclear weapon, isn't just a threat to Israel, it's a threat to the United States and global security in general. It cannot be allowed to happen. Do you agree with President Trump that Iran cannot be allowed to have a nuclear weapon?
Senator, I appreciate the question because it gives me the opportunity to let you know that I absolutely believe that the president is taking the right course of action. He did it when his first term. The maximum pressure bankrupted the Iranians. It made it impossible for them to fund the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas. They didn't have the money. When his term ended and President Biden took office, unfortunately, they relaxed some of those pressures. And the result was Iran had money again. They didn't use it to help their people. They used it to murder people in Israel through the Houthis, through Hezbollah, and through Hamas. I'm grateful to serve a president who recognizes that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon and that it is better to bankrupt them than it is to bomb them.
And Governor Huckabee, you're exactly right. The Trump administration took Iran's foreign reserves down from $122.5 billion down to under $14 billion. That prevented them from funding groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. So you're exactly right, and this policy of sanctioning them and trying to bankrupt Iran is exactly the right course. So thank you very much. And with that, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, sir.